back out of those clubs, because people, I think, understand those clubs will be screwed if they had to go and find all that money to send back to people. I like that personally, but I don't think we've got any answers, and I don't think we will have. But it's always what we'll do is we'll kind of run that poll as more again once we have a bit of a better idea, and we'll kind of have another conversation about it. And each time, hopefully, we're a little bit more informed and a little bit less speculative each time.
Yes.
It's a good thing to talk about. We're now going to get into news from around the world of rugby league, and we promise it won't all be that retread of that same conversation we've just had.
So we move on to other news this week from the world of rugby league. And firstly, the Samoan international young Tonamanapia has signed for the Gold Coast Titans after serving a Mormon mission for the past 2 years. The 27-year-old outside back has made 44 appearances for Melbourne Storm between 2014 and 2018 before leaving to serve a 2-year Mormon mission in Germany. Tonamanapia has signed a train and trial contract with the Titans for the remainder of the 2020 NRL season.
And other news from down under, a team that will represent French-speaking Pacific territories has applied to enter the Intra-Super Cup from 2023. Pacific Trays Rugby League, which translates as Pacific 13, has applied to enter the Queensland-based competition in a bid to continue the development of the game in the territories of New Caledonia, Wallis and Futuna, French Polynesia and Vanuatu. So interesting, isn't it, that there's still expansion plans for the sport, people, international growth of the sport, which we one thing we can't afford to be at the moment anymore is any more inward looking.
No.
But at the same time, there's loads of questions now about travel and competitions that involve international travel, which is something Super League are going to have to address, something that the Australian competitions have to address too. But I think we have to look at at this on the face of it and think it's planning ahead to a positive future for sort of indigenous involvement in our sport.
Yeah, completely. Yeah, I'm sure the world will be a very different place come 2023. Also on the international stage, the International Rugby League has received an expression of interest from Tonga Rugby League to be the recognised member of the International Federation representing the Kingdom of Tonga. Former Hull SC player Sika Manu has been elected by the national team to act as player representation on the organised proposed new structure alongside Will Hopoate. So it sounds like Tonga might be getting their house in order slightly.
It does, and it looks like the International Rugby League Federation are happy to sort of get involved in conversations with them around this, which is positive. It seems like the Prime Minister, or the head of state anyway, in Tonga, is supportive of this group, and I think with the people that are representing this group, the players will be confident and supportive with this group. I think Sika Manu is one of those people who absolutely and fundamentally represents the sort of pride and caring in his, his home, his country, is where he's from, and where his heritage is from. There were stories, wasn't there? He made sure that Hull FC let him go on mid-season internationals in his first couple of years there. That he didn't have to be asked to be involved in. I don't believe. There wasn't too much on the line necessarily in those games. Always, and he also stuck around, didn't he, and did some charity projects I think it was after the World Cup. He stayed on a bit later in Tonga and did some charity projects and stuff like that. So he's already been someone giving something back. I think he's clearly, and I'm sure Sarah would have wanted to make sure those sorts of comments about Sika Manu were definitely represented. So it clearly, he seems like a guy who can get people united around this because of the passion is already demonstrated.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and they do need a figurehead to corral around and organise around. So that's it sounds more positive.
Yes, exactly. Sheffield Eagles star Corey Makelim is set to leave the club. The USA international will return to Australia at the end of this month, with the club supporting his decision. He joined the club midway through 2018 and made 43 appearances for the club, including their 1895 Cup final victory at Wembley. So for that game, I'm sure he'll be fondly remembered by the Eagles taxi army.
Indeed. Joe Greenwood has returned to Wigan Warriors after his 2-month loan at Leeds expired. The back row didn't make a single appearance for the club, surprisingly enough, during his time at the Headingley, with the majority of his spell being in lockdown, and other than that, he was creating coronavirus scares at the club. So, congratulations, Joe.
There you go. Yeah. Is someone that Wigan need to get an antibody test on before we let him hang out with any of the other players. None of that exercising with someone else business for you, Joe. Not until we've had some testing done. Yeah, one of the most bizarre loans, one of the most ridiculous loan spells in the history of the sport. But it makes sense from Leeds' perspective, and I'm sure if the market reopens for Joe Greenwood in the future, they'll look fondly on at least the guy they got to know during that period, since he told everyone he was a Leeds fan.
Oh dear.
Who knows? Maybe a club further along the M62 might be looking for a left-sided second rower in 2021. Anyway,
maybe so.
But
as long as he moves a bit closer.
Too much on speculation. Toronto have revealed details for a UK-based foundation and community programme. The new scheme aims to use rugby league to deliver positive outcomes, with the specific aim of putting rugby balls in kids' hands. The programme will complement existing work in Toronto, where the Wolfpack host, attend and contribute more than 80 community events over the course of a season. In the UK Foundation will help ensure the club contributes to the development and support on both sides of the Atlantic all year round. The programme will initially focus on projects close to the the club's UK training base at Hopwood Hall in Rochdale before reaching out further. Don't want to sound cynical, and again, we don't know too much about the speculation about people not being paid, but it sounds like a good news story to paint Toronto in a positive light, while some journalists are reporting that the players haven't been paid for 2 months.
Yes, apparently so.
But I think it's fantastic for rugby league in the Rochdale area if they've got a professional club that's able to contribute more in that environment. I think that's fantastic.
Yeah,
because obviously
let's just leave it at that.
Budgets at actual Rochdale are very, very tight, and so it can only benefit the whole structure there if you've got the semi-professional club, the professional club, and you've already got great amateur clubs, community clubs anyway. It can only benefit that whole lineage in that area.
Yes. Very positive.
So let's hope for the positive outcomes. But yeah, get people paid first, guys.
Yeah. And just a little last minute story. Cass Tigers have completed the signing of Niall Evalds for the 2021 season. What do we think?
Well, what do you think? You're the Cass fans. Secret Cass fan. Damn it. Sorry, Al.
He's a secret Cass fan. Well, yeah. I mean, I think this podcast is well known, and it's singing of the praises of Niall Evalds. It's a big loss for Salford, probably possibly more than a gain for Cass, really.
Yeah, and I don't think Cass have actually confirmed the deal themselves yet, but Salford have confirmed that he won't be with them in 2021, and the newspapers have reported that his Castleford is going to be on there for a 1-year deal. I think, like you say, we love him.
Yeah, and he's he'll probably do a very good job down the left edge. He's a great player, and yeah. I'm sure he'll fit in well at Cass. Yeah,
proven record in Super League. Salford's all-time leading try scorer in the Super League. Not as young as people think, because he's 25, 26 or something now. I think is obviously been around a while. I mean, it's a long time ago since he got that Maserati. It's about 4 years since he got that Maserati, I think, off Marwan Kukash, 3 or 4 years. So, but Castleford have been putting together okay fullbacks since Zach Hardacre. You know, Matautia did a job for a bit, Rankin's done a job for a bit, but really this is a bona fide top Super League fullback that they'll be bringing in to go with those 2 young halfbacks as well in their sort of earlier 20s. It's a good sign, and once they can maybe start, hopefully for them, getting some younger forwards into the mix as well, then there could be a force to be reckoned with for a number of years to come. So it's a good signing for Cass.
Yeah, it's a definite upgrade, as you say. With it feels like they've been making do amending, haven't they, at fullback the last couple of years, with kind of interchanging people in. So it sounds like they've got their man for the longer term now. So
well, it's
that's good for
deal,
them.
But if they can make that work, you know, there must be options or something in there. I suppose when Cass release the news themselves, there'll be more detail around it. Another signing that sneaked in: Huddersfield Giants have confirmed young first team stars Sam Hewitt and John Luke Kirby have both signed extensions to stay at the club. Both got new deals to the end of 2022. So good news for those two that they've secured themselves a longer stay at the club. Yeah,
definitely. I mean, I think you might see contracts we see announced, in the next kind of few weeks to months are probably going to be short term on the basis of, trying to limit your liabilities.
And of course we're in that period of the season now where normally we would be seeing a ton of deals confirmed, but because clubs haven't quite had the same level of contact with the players and players haven't quite had the same level of being able to show off their wares, it might be that we see more clubs confirming deals for the younger kids, but it might be that some of the star names might hang out there. And for Niall Evans, who was maybe the star name on the market this year, do you think? Maybe he's that's a good deal to get over the line this early on in this period, I think.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah. Should we talk about the inevitable as well then?
Yeah, let's talk about this week in the virus.
Yep. So on the 5th of May, Love Rugby League reported that the RLPA has confirmed that NRL players will accept a 20% pay cut and return to training. The NRL clubs will train together for the first time in 6 weeks under strict protocols, and players are guaranteed 80% of their wages for the rest of the year.
Yep. So everything coming together down under. On the 6th of May, 4020 News reported that Dewsbury have received support from Barclays Bank through a government-backed coronavirus business interruption loan scheme. Chairman Mark Sawyer says the loan will secure the future of the club and provide flexible funding to meet ongoing costs. The figure has not been specified, but I suppose other chairmen, maybe people with a close relationship to Mark Sawyer, might be trying to secure the same sort of funding, and maybe that's a way for some of the clubs to get through this period, seeking their independent loan funding, and that maybe then means more of the 16 million is left for the RFL to cover their own shortfallings this year.
Maybe so, yeah, because 16 million sounds like a lot, but it probably doesn't go as far as you think. On the 7th of May, Super League Chief Executive Robert Elston told Sky Sports Golden Point podcast he's hoping to get the competition back up and running in July. He said, "My conversations with ex-colleagues around the Premier League table is that there's real optimism about early June, but that will be in a regime of mass testing. Does that mean that we can get going 4 weeks later with perhaps a more limited but safe and applicable testing regime?" He asks rhetorically. I really hope so. So lots of hopes, but nothing confirmed.
No. Then we jump to the 8th of May when Love Rugby League reported Gold Coast have confirmed that Bryce Cartwright and Brian Kelly have been stood down from official duties until further notice. The Titans say they are following the directives of the Queensland Government and the NRL in players who do not comply with the required vaccination protocols will be unable to participate in training or play. So obviously our friends over on This Week in League will have already and will continue to have more to say
Yes.
around the anti-vaxxers. Canberra, I think, are another club that are affected by some of these players who aren't happy to take the vaccination.